rulingSaenuri Party comes out on top in regional by-elections in Gyeonggi and North Gyeongsang provinces. The National Assembly Foreign Affairs and Unification Committee makes a high-profile visit to the inter-Korean Kaesong industrial complex. And the Korean government has teamed up with the U.S. IT giant Google to help globalize Korean culture. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Thursday, October 31st. I'm Luke Clary. No big surprises in yesterday's regional by-elections. The rulingSaenuri Party came out on top in both Hwaseong Gyeonggi Province and Pohang, North Gyeongsang Province.
In two districts, Saenuri Party candidates seemed to be in the lead from the onset of the ballot count. They were confirmed to be the victors in just 2 hours. Suh Chung-won of the Saenuri Party garnered 62.7% of the votes in Hwaseong A district, Gyeonggi Province, ousting his Democratic Party rival Oh Il-yong, who had 29.2%. Suh will serve his 7th term as a parliamentary member. He vowed to do his utmost to deliver success for the Park Geun-hye administration and the development of Hwaseong.
화성을 시민의 하게 될 수 있도록 제가 모든 노력을 기울여 이 지역 발전에 힘쓰겠습니다.
Park Geun-hye of the Saenuri Party won the South Pohang and Ulung district votes. He beat the Democratic Party's Hwaseong by an overwhelming margin. The ruling party candidate took 78.6%, while his opposition gained 18.5%. Park thanked local voters for supporting him, pledging to work to enhance the happiness of the people.
새누리당이 전국 주도 안정을 잡아가면서 박근혜 대통령의 국민 행복 시대를 열어가는 데 최선을 다하고자 합니다.
The by-elections has increased the Saenuri Party's parliamentary seats by 2 and now stands at 155. The number of the Democratic Party seats will remain the same at 127. The average voter turnout for the October 30th by-elections was 33.5. The turnout was 31.9% in Hwaseong A district and 34.9% in the South Pohang and Ulung districts.
It's been a few short weeks since operations at the inter-Korean Kaesong Industrial Park were normalized. South Korean lawmakers made a noteworthy visit to the complex this week.
Members of the National Assembly Foreign Affairs and Unification Committee visited the Kaesong Industrial Complex. Along with support staff, 21 delegates from the ruling and opposition parties surveyed the plants where North Korean employees were working. The industrial park resumed operation on September 16th, but only 50% of the plants are currently in operation. Businesses based in Kaesong complained that attracting investment was difficult, to which the group of lawmakers promised to provide support.
공단의 발전적 정상화를 위해서 입법 차원에서 국회에서 도울 수 있는 것을 적극적으로 강구할 생각입니다.
There was no welcoming event or meeting with North Korean authorities. Opinions on the visit differed between the ruling and opposition parties.
우리 기업들이 그 정상화를 위해서 많은 노력을 하고 있는데 아직도 넘어야 될 산이 많다.
정책 국면이 해결되는 것이 가장 선결 과제인 것 같은데 개성공단 그 자체만으로는 북한이 비협조적이지 않다는 느낌을 갖고 왔습니다.
Meanwhile, committee member Cho Myung-chul of the Saenuri Party, who had defected from the north, was not able to attend the inspection as Pyongyang banned him from visiting the north.
The Korean government has teamed up with the U.S. IT giant Google in the drive for globalization of Korean culture. Korean cultural assets could make their way into a Google search near you.
Exhibition halls of Korea's National Museum appear on a screen, making it look like you're actually inside. A mouse click enlarges a selected artifact. You can view its detailed image. A statue of a thinking Buddha sitting with legs crossed is so vivid it looks like you are seeing it in real life. The service is being provided by Google's art project. The number of people visiting the museum online jumped more than 30% just a month after the service began.
The best and most direct way through this country's largest and easiest museum to visit, the Internet.
Korea's Ministry of Culture and Google agreed to expand the service to include exhibits kept at the National Palace Museum and the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art. Content that covers Korea's traditional cultures, housings, and outfits will also be added to the repository. The deals benefit both sides. The Korean government can make use of Google's global networks in promoting Korean culture overseas. For Google, it can secure good quality content.
한국 문화, 한국 음악 모든 것들이 구글을 통한 어떤 세계화에 크게 기여할 수 있을 것으로 그렇게 기대를 하고 있습니다.
Korea and Google will work together to develop a Korean language learning program and encourage the development of content, which is a key part of the government's wish to foster a creative economy.
Hongcheong, Gangwon Province. Korean and U.S. military take to the skies for joint air assault training. It's part of a military drill taking place now across Gangwon and Gyeonggi Provinces.
The U.S. Army's Black Hawk helicopters appear in the sky. The helicopters land to let soldiers out and rise again to go into security mode. They're followed by Korean helicopters, from which dozens of soldiers get off. The soldiers hide in the hills and wait for the enemies to appear. This is the Korea-U.S. Joint Air Assault Training, which is part of this year's annual military drill. Around 250 soldiers are participating, including the U.S. Army 2nd Aviation Brigade and 22 Army jets. The exercise was conducted so the Korean and U.S. military can carry out operations more efficiently during wartime.
이번 호국 훈련을 통하여 적의 어떠한 도발에도 적을 강력히 섬멸할 수 있다는 굳은 의지를 다짐할 수 있었습니다.
The drill will be carried out through November 1st in Gangwon and Gyeonggi provinces.
Chicken and duck farms here are alarmed by the news of bird flu virus being found in migratory bird excrement here, with reports of people in China being infected. This could also be a public health concern.
This duck farm is sterilized each day. Liquid disinfectants are sprayed outside and inside the shed. It's because of the epidemic prevention period that's begun along with the arrival of migratory birds carrying avian influenza viruses. Epidemic authorities are collecting and analyzing excrements of migratory birds found along the riversides. A low-pathogenic avian influenza virus was recently found in chicken and migratory bird excrements in South Jeolla and Gyeongsang provinces. Authorities are on alert as a new type of bird flu, highly fatal to people, recently broke out in China. The new virus that's found mainly in the northeastern regions of China since spring has been the cause of 44 deaths.
조류 인플루엔자 바이러스는 혈청형이 다양하고 수백 가지가 있기 때문에 항원을 만들 수가 없기 때문에 백신을 만드는데 우리가 한계가 있습니다.
Up to now, highly pathogenic avian influenza viruses broke out in Korea 4 times, causing damage worth around $566.5 million.
Some regions designated by Seoul's Newtown initiative for redevelopment have not seen a facelift, but neglect and abandonment. The city government has announced a new response.
This area in Jongno-gu is a so-called Newtown, which is a region to be completely demolished and rebuilt. The locked and crumbled buildings show the neighborhood has been abandoned for a long time. Walls have collapsed and doors were torn away. It looks like a ghost town. This is another Newtown designated region in Seodaemun-gu. Some 80 households are refusing to leave here even though they live in dire living conditions. As of late last month, reconstruction was completed in only 28 of 257 districts as part of the Newtown project. This neighborhood used to be shabby with unorganized utility poles and electric wires. The neighborhood has turned into a completely new one. The environment of the neighborhood has significantly changed.
포장 싹 해주고 다 전기선 다 늘어놓고 전봇선대 이쪽에 다 없애버리고 그 깔끔하고 좋죠.
The area was remodeled as the local government repaired roads and other public facilities, while each resident paid for the renovation of their own homes. The Seoul city government chose this case as an alternative to the dragged-on Newtown project. The Seoul government plans to give a facelift to 6 districts by year's end. From next year, more than 15 districts will be remodeled each year. The Seoul government will also provide loans with a lower interest rate to districts that agree to the construction of new towns.
More and more farmers these days are turning to unmanned helicopters to spread pesticides. Korean researchers have developed a cheap, high-performance chopper for the task.
A small, round flying object, looking like a spaceship, spews pesticides onto a rice field. It's the brainchild of a team of researchers from the Korea Aerospace University. The helicopter has 8 winged propellers that provide stability and 4 sprinklers that enable it to accurately spray pesticides. After the user sets his targeted area using a smartphone, the helicopter finds its way on its own. This machine is easy to pilot, repair, and maintain, so anyone can use it just by following the instructions. The domestically developed helicopter costs only half as much as Japanese ones that are currently being used by Korean farmers. It's also significantly lighter and can cover a 33-hectare area every day on par with the Japanese.
저희가 지난 여름 동안 굉장히 많은 비행시험과 분무시험을 거쳐서 모든 그 장단점을 다 파악하고 보완을 했습니다.
So far, 150 unmanned helicopters have been imported to Korea from Japan. But once the domestic model becomes commercialized early next year, the nation will be able to save around $28 million in imported costs.
Today is Halloween, a holiday popularized in North America as a time for trick-or-treating, dressing up in scary or funny costumes for candy. But these costumes can be an expensive burden to families.
Parents shop with their children for costumes and accessories ahead of the Halloween parties at kindergartens. One costume of a foreign movie character costs well above $100, but despite its price, it flies off the shelves.
엄마 애들 엄청나게 많이 들어와요. 아침부터 저녁까지 퇴근하고 오시는 엄마들도 생각보다 많이 들어오십니다.
Halloween costumes sell like hotcakes on the internet as well. Some cost over $200, but parents don't hesitate as the costumes are from overseas. Despite the financial burden, parents are willing to pay for the expensive attire because they don't want their children to feel deprived at Halloween parties.
부담되기도 하지만 사실은 애기들이 또 이런 이벤트 있는 날을 좋아하니까.
Kindergartens and private school academies say that Halloween parties are necessary for the children to learn about foreign cultures.
크게 무슨 의미를 두고 하는 게 아니라서 그냥 아무래도 영어로 배우다 보니까 집에 있는 누나들은 접대해 보는다 뿐인 거지.
Parents continue to pay a lot of money for Halloween costumes every year as Halloween fashion trends constantly change.
Fall is peak season for cuttlefish, a cephalopod like the squid or octopus. Catching one is easier than you might think, making it a great fishing experience even for beginners. These waters offer great fishing fun. There's a bumper cuttlefish catch to be had here, the first in 3 years. About 150 fishing boats head out to sea every weekend. This kind of cuttlefish is only found in the Yellow and South Seas. You can catch them in heaps in the right spots.
쭈꾸미하고 갑오징어 잡는데 작년에 비해서 양은 좀 나온 편이에요.
Fishing like this is simple. Just make sure that the lines don't get tangled. Are you a novice fisherman? Don't worry. All you have to do is cast the line into the water and wait. Catching cuttlefish is so much fun because anyone can do it.
어렵지 않습니다. 아주 누구나 잡을 수 있는 거예요.
It's too good to believe.
잡았다!
Only a few minutes pass before a cuttlefish is caught. Other fishermen start bringing them in one by one. Cuttlefish have a distinct look with short tentacles, a thick round body, and fins on the side. You may have seen squid fishing boats ablaze with light in the middle of the night catching squid. Fishing boats are also used to catch cuttlefish, but using different methods. Fishermen deploy nets and fish traps to catch cuttlefish between April and June. Poles are best for the fall. Here's a look at how cuttlefish differ from squid. You've got to be careful catching cuttlefish. Just when you think you're safe, you might get splashed down with some ink. You'll get sprayed down with ink on your hands and clothes.
옷 벗을 때도 있고 많이 먹물이 많이 묻죠. 옷에도 묻고 얼굴에도 때로는 얼굴에도 묻고.
Don't let your guard down if you don't want to get spattered. Sometimes you even get a bonus catch. Fishermen bring in a bounty of baby octopuses as well. Dressing the cuttlefish is just as easy as catching them. Just remove the flat, calcified cuttle bone and it's ready to be enjoyed.
동의보감이나 번초 강목 등에 보면 오징어는 기혈을 돕고 음혈을 보충하므로 무월경이나 자궁출혈, 대하 등을 치료하고 심혈관계 질환을 예방하며 면역력을 증강시키므로 피로를 회복하는 데도 효과적입니다.
The fresh catch of baby octopuses goes straight into the soup. This is authentic seafood noodle soup, absolutely mouth-watering. It tastes great. Out to sea since dawn, these fishermen stuff themselves with noodles and raw cuttlefish. What could be tastier than your own catch?
찹쌀처럼 쫀득쫀득하고 상당히 맛있습니다.
Fall is the best time of year to catch cuttlefish. Why not take out your family with a little outdoor do-it-yourself spirit this fall? Now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. We'll see you at the same time tomorrow. Have a great day.